We're gonna get you. We're gonna get you. Not another peep. Time to go to sleep. Death by dawn! Death by dawn! Hey folks, Kiltman here. Kiltman at your Necronomicon services. How are you all? You're all doing very, very well. Now, Deadites amongst us, rejoice! We have yet more Evil Dead movies on the way. Yes, yet more. We've had plenty. We've had the original trilogy, The Evil Dead, followed by Evil Dead 2, followed by Army of Darkness. Should have been called The Medieval Dead. Why did they miss that trick there? It was scripted as The Medieval Dead and he still fucked it up. It's a great film though. And then of course you got Fede Alvarez 2013 with Evil Dead, a film which I did not like on its first appearance, and I saw it day one and reviewed it day one. And then over later years I went back and revisited it and I thought, you know what, actually this is quite damn good. The characters are all crap and horrible, hateful, but there's a mood and atmosphere which is hardline and it really works. And then you get Evil Dead Rise, of course, only a couple of years ago, which I reviewed and I really enjoyed. It's a massive sort of, pick and mix, a greatest hits of Evil Dead stuff. And but by and large, I had a great time with it. It is nasty, it is gory, it is intense, but there's a few too many homages to what's gone before. And of course, before that, you had Ash vs Evil Dead, the TV show, which everyone loves it. I loved it, but it propelled itself too far into outrage and just OTT and comedy, purely, reveling in the fantastic anarchic zany qualities of Bruce the Chin Campbell. And no, don't get me wrong, I do love Ash vs Evil Dead, but it ain't the quality, the atmosphere and the sheer impact of, I said impact there and I drove a fist very quietly into the palm of my hand. It should have been impact of the movies, which can be quirky, funny, offbeat, very zany and off the wall, but they do retain an extreme horror angle. Anyway, we're going to get some more. Now, creators Sam Raimi, Robert Tappert and Bruce Campbell have always kept the rights to these movies, and they allow new directors to come in. Fede Alvarez and whoever it was that did Evil Dead Rise, which I forgot who they are now. That's not good, is it? But I have forgotten. To give him a shot. And although the Evil Dead trilogy, initial trilogy, you get uber video nasty, the kingpin of video nasties in the UK was the Evil Dead. The poster boy for all video nasties was the Evil Dead. Oh my god. And yet it's so camp and goofy that how can you ever be upset by it? And it's controversial. The tree rape sequence, of course, and it's gory as all hell, but it's so silly and over the top that you can't really be offended by it. And yet many with severe lack of real moral backbone were upset and dismayed. Then Evil Dead 2 was a remake basically of the first movie, because Sam Raimi thought, well, yeah, all the things we wanted to do, the effects we couldn't quite do, let's rehash the first movie. So it's a sequel, remake, reboot, way before those things were actually really a done thing. And then you got Army of Darkness, which is a pure Ray Harryhausen tribute, which we all know. Fede Alvarez goes back to the tree roots around the haunted cabin in the woods, and comes out with something which is outrageous, nasty, very mean-spirited. And that's what I now like about that movie, which I kind of first thought, no, I don't like any of the characters here. They're all repellent, reprehensible shit houses. But now I get it. It is dark. It's what Evil Dead should really have been without the goofball antics of Ash, Bruce Campbell's Ash, or pratfalling hero. And then you get Evil Dead Rise, a different story again. And this is the point that Sam Raimi and Robert Tapert, the producers and writers of the original movies, like, well, Evil Dead should be an anthology, kind of akin to what John Carpenter thought about Halloween. Halloween should just be, we're going to make a movie every other year, but set around the theme of Halloween. But Michael Myers proved too big a bogeyman to just you put 6 bullets into him, you can shoot him off a balcony, you can set him on fire, you can blow him up, you can do all sorts of things. But he's going to keep on coming back because the audiences, the crowds want him back. So that's what happens. Now, Evil Dead, same idea. We're going to set an anthology. We're going to anthologize the Evil Dead, the Deadites, the Necronomicon. It's an epic sort of thing. You know, the old Sumerian rites and all that. These books have been discovered, the Kandarian daggers, all this kind of stuff. Again, you've got the thing of like the Omen, the daggers of Megiddo are the what can destroy Damien, the Antichrist. So you've got the Kandarian daggers, and you've got all these books of prose and incantations and spells and rituals. There's a lot more to explore. So Sam Raimi, Robert Tapert, we want to kind of do this thing where maybe every couple of years to 3 years we get a new Evil Dead movie, but we're set with different people in a different environment, maybe even a different time period, and we're going to tell a story of the Necronomicon and the Evil Dead, and we're going to do it. Some could be goofy, some could be really hardline and serious, but each film will be its own little chapter in a massive, massive bibliography of Deadite history. So, the first one up that we know about is coming out in 2026. So we're currently at the arse end of 2024. So it's going to go all the way through 2025, and then we're going to get it in 2026. And it's called Evil Dead Burn. Evil Dead Burn. Evil burns tonight. Evil burns tonight. Oh. Deadites fry up. I'm not sure about this title, I'll be honest with you. It reminds me of Halloween Kills, which I think is one of the worst titles I've ever heard, but one of the worst films I've seen in many, many years. And but because Halloween, what does Halloween Kills mean? Halloween kills what? Kills a couple of hours in the cinema. Halloween kills your will to live. Halloween just kills a lot of people on screen. It's a really shit, stupid title. Evil Dead Burns. I'm not massively biting on this. Evil Dead Burns. What does it fucking mean? Well, it means nothing to us as yet because there's no plot details. But what I can tell you is this. Sebastian Vanacek co-writes and directs this movie. He was appointed by Sam Raimi, Robert Tapert. And whenever they always talk about the other movies, and Raimi and Tapert are the big head honchos, the big producers, the writers, the creators. But you've got to put in Bruce Campbell. He's not always mentioned in the same sentence, but Bruce Campbell is a massive, massive part of the whole thing. Whether he's in the movie, he's doing a cameo. Evil Dead Rise, he provides the ghostly demonic voice on the recordings, which bring the Evil Dead, resurrect them. This is brilliant. And he can still do cameos. His chin's now, chins, exactly. He's Bruce the Chin, but now Bruce has got several chins to play around with, and a bit more flabbage around the visage. And that's rich coming from me, I know, but hey. We all want to see Bruce Campbell back in the movies, but he's retired now. After Ash vs Evil Dead was finished, he's like, no, I'm not reprising the character ever again. He means it. I'm pretty certain he does mean it in movies and TV shows, but I'm pretty certain he would not be averse to supplying a slight cameo here and there. Depends on the kind of movie. Now, Sebastian Vanacek, co-writing and directing this movie, appointed by Raimi and Tapper, and clearly Bruce Campbell as well. He's the guy that did the Spider movie, the French Spider movie, Infested? Yeah. In French, it's Les Vermines. And 2 films came out in 2024 with spiders in them. Sting, which I reviewed on the channel, and I enjoyed it. It's nowhere near as scary as you think it's going to be, and but it's good fun. And Vanacek did Infested. Again, a very similar sort of story about people trapped in a tower block with spiders on the rampage. In Sting, it's one big spider that keeps getting bigger and bigger and nastier and nastier. But in Infested, it's millions of spiders. And the film actually did use a hell of a lot of real spiders, as well as some CG versions. But everyone said, you watch one spider horror movie this year, it's got to be Infested, because that's the scary one. Well, I watched it, and I'm arachnophobic myself, and although nowhere near as bad as it used to be, despite, as many of you know, that fucking horrible bite that an 8-legged freak put upon the back of my thigh about, 3 years ago now, and I'm still scarred because of it. But I'm not anywhere near as frightened of spiders as I once was. But of the 2 films, Infested and Sting, I preferred Sting. I got more of a frisson from that than I did from Infested, and yet that has some great scenes of tension. But Sebastian Vanacek diluted it all with rather naff characters who you really didn't care about their plight, and he brought in all this drama, can we just cut to the spider chase, which you got, and they were pretty good, and it's some high tension sequences, and but overall, I thought, well, that was bigged up as being a real fucking terror fest, and it really so wasn't. And yet, for someone like me, it should have been. Anyway. But here's a guy that can produce a dark and depraved and set pieces of real uber escalating nastiness and intensity. So he could be the right guy for the job. So here's a quote from him. He said, I told the studio I wanted to make a mean film, a film that hurts, that leaves you feeling exhausted. Well, I like that, because the first Evil Dead does that. Despite, you watch it now, and I've discussed it 1,000,001 times, it is goofy and funny. Ash repeatedly ends up under like the most pathetic of shelves and cupboards, and he's like struggling to get up while his friends are being menaced and tortured and ripped apart and all that, and he's trying to do something to help them, and he is the doofus who will alone find his inner heroism to defeat the Deadites, or not, because at the very end of the movie, the camera, Raimi's camera, goes through all the trees and smashes through all the doors at the back of the cabin in the woods, goes through all the rooms. That's a hell of a big cabin. And then comes smashing through the front doors again with the 2 handholds in it, where one of my favourite jump scares of all time, Ash is stood against the door and the hands come through. Oh God, I've discussed it before. And he gets hit, struck from behind at the very end of the first movie. And if the movie ended there and the whole Deadite franchise was dead and gone, that would still be one of the greatest endings ever, because you just think he's gone through such hell and survived it, but his mind will be all over the show. How? And he gets out at dawn the next day And again, the necklace he gave to his girlfriend, that's what saved the day. And like, the sun's up. And then he's horribly, maliciously, rudely attacked from behind. That's not playing fair. But it's great and it works. And then you get Evil Dead 2, which is fucking awesome. I've done a watch party for that. And it's wonderful. But it's far more self-assured, self-aware, and it plays to everybody's strengths, particularly Bruce Campbell's strengths. Raimi's virtuoso camera work, Joe LaDuca's alarmingly great score, which you're hearing right now. This is Evil Dead 2 playing right now. But then you get Medieval Dead, well, Army of Darkness, which is, it's pure fantasy. The horror ratio drops like that, and the action and anarchic camp qualities are through the roof, through the ramparts of the castle. But it is great good fun. So Evil Dead, Fede Alvarez, is dark, deep, intense, nasty, nihilistic, profoundly exciting. Once I really got to grips with it, I thought, like, no, I'm going to give it another chance, and I really, really enjoy it now for what it genuinely is, and that is dark and nasty. Evil Dead Rise it's not as nasty as Evil Dead. There's a bit of humour there, even from the Deadites themselves. There's a bit more humour there. But again, it's gallows humour, but it still works. And I like the film quite a lot. Evil Dead Rise, I think, is a great entry, a standalone entry in the franchise. And that's exactly what we want. Fede Alvarez remade and rebooted the Evil Dead. Simple. Evil Dead Rise is what Raimi, Tappert and Campbell want. A standalone chapter in an expanded Evil Dead universe. So Sebastian Vanacek is going to do the same sort of thing. And as he said there, it's going to be, let me re-quote him, I told the studio that I wanted to make a mean film, a film that hurts, that leaves you feeling exhausted. And that is what you got with the first Evil Dead. You're exhausted after Evil Dead 2, but it's not a mean film by any stretch of the imagination. Evil Dead, Fede Alvarez, is mean, and it's exhilarating, it's nasty, it's relentless. Once you build up to that big finale, it is incredibly intensified. And you do feel exhausted at the end of it. So, now he writes with, he wrote Infested with a fella called, well, I think it's a fella, Florence Bernard. It could be a woman, I don't know, I didn't check. And Florent Bernard is going to be co-writing this Evil Dead Burn with Sebastian Vanacek. We don't know where it's going to be. Is it going to be set in France? Could be. If Raimi wants an expanded universe, you can set them bloody anywhere you want. It could be in a lighthouse in Northern California, like The Fog. It could be anywhere. It could be in New Zealand, where they filmed, of course, Evil Dead and Ash vs. Evil Dead. So, it could be anywhere. It could be in Old Blighty. It could be in Scotland. Oh, hey, Evil Dead. Evil Dead, the Tartan Deadites. Fucking kilted Ash with a fucking claymore. That'd be great, to be honest. In the cave where Robert the Bruce saw the spider. Robert the Bruce, apparently, you go to Scotland, I mean this, there's about 10, maybe more caves, which, like, this is where Robert the Bruce sat and watched the spider try to make its web across, and it taught him, if at first you don't succeed, you gotta try again, for freedom and revolution and rebellion. There's about 10 different caves, because it's a myth, fuck's sake. But the point is, the Evil Dead now, if Raimi and Tappert and Campbell are really set in what they're going to do with this, every 2 to 3 years, you're going to get another Evil Dead movie. Providing they're all successful, obviously. And they'll be set in a different time period with different characters altogether. I like that. There's no need to have ongoing characters. Unless someone really shines, it's dictated by audiences. Not always a good thing. Your Joe multiplexer, your Joe and Joe Beth multiplexers are a really shit barometer of what film fans really want. But Hollywood, it's bums on seats, it's ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. So a shit film that sells millions of tickets and makes gazillions at the box office, well, we'll do more of that. We'll bring back those people. Who's to say they're wrong? Me, that's who. Because it denies creativity. It rehashes the same old shit again and again and again. Which may work for certain cult favourites. Friday the 13th. I'm not its biggest fan. I love the first 3 movies. And I love the Tom Savini, part 4, with Jason's head going down his own machete. Which I do like that one. It's gory as all hell. But the rest of them, if you're into it, you're fine. I've got no truck with you. Nightmare on Elm Street, the first and the third, and again the fourth was not too bad. With the Roach Motel, that was really bizarre. But as far as I'm concerned, Freddy Krueger peaked with the first movie. He is not anywhere near as frightening as anything after that. So if he's not frightening and he's a comedy aspect to it, you've lost the entire bloody point. Okay, Wes Craven's New Nightmare, yeah, that does do it. That's great. That does a whole new spin. So I'll put that in there as well. But it's rare for franchise movies to actually retain that creativity, that invention, which made them that successful enough to have a franchise. Evil Dead certainly has all of that in spades, So I'm looking forward to this. This could be tremendous. So Vanacek shows promise with Infested. There's definitely some scenes of real suspense, and they're all coming down corridors, they're climbing up doors, you're trapped in a shower and they're still coming in there. There's plenty of scenes like that, but he's got to learn to not water it down by having uninteresting characters and their massively protracted interplay about dramas and stuff that we don't really give two shits about. It's got to remember that. Remain focused. Evil Dead is best when you've got one, maybe 2 characters, but preferably one, beset by all hell breaking loose. And again, the mean-spirited nature. This is what he says when we mean, feel what? A film that hurts and leaves you exhausted. Okay, Bruce Campbell in first and second, and the third to a degree, they do leave you hurt a little bit. First one certainly, but you're knackered and you're exhausted. But you've had such a fun ride with all 3 of the first 3 movies. But mean is different. Evil Dead is mean. Sorry, the first Evil Dead, 1981, not the first one. And Evil Dead Freddy Alvarez is mean and nasty. This is what he's saying. That's what he wants to do. So, if that's the case, you're not going to have a sense of humour. You will not have a Bruce Campbell, Ash Williams type character, because that would deflate and ruin the whole mood and atmosphere. Everything you're going for. And that's going to be good. An ongoing franchise, anthologized, so the next one after this could have a goofball character, could be funny, could be a camp version, an almost parody, or maybe a pantomime version. In a vast ongoing anthology, you could do that. You could have the fun ones, the sci-fi ones, historical ones. You could do that. It all depends on the writing and the execution, but we know this. Anyway, that is Sebastian Vanacek's version of what's coming. But he's not alone. There isn't just one new version in the works. There's two. There's two. Count them. 1, 2 on the go. And the second one, the other one, is by a guy called... Hang on a moment. Hang on, what's his name? Francis Galuppi. Galuppi? Or is it... My daughter wrote this from my my texted notes to her before. And I'm not sure if she's written that right. Francis Galuppi, I think it is. This is a guy, well, I'm assuming it's a guy, who wrote and directed the 2023 crime thriller, The Last Stop in Yuma County. Yuma County, yeah. I haven't seen it. I do not know it. But this particular individual, Francis Galuppi, I hope I've got that right, presented a pitch to Sam Raimi and Robert Tapert. And you've got to always, I keep saying this, they always mention all these articles, it's Sam Raimi and Robert Tapert. Bruce Campbell's fucking massively involved in that. He's part, it's a triumvirate. He is there. It's a trio, and he's part of that trio. So, and this pitch was given by this particular person, and he went, yeah, okay, you can do it. Because it fits their bill. It's a different story with different characters. So we've already got this guy, Sebastian Vanacek, doing his version, which we've announced it, but you've come up with this idea. We like it because it fits our format of having a different story with different characters in the Evil Dead universe every couple of years or so. So this particular one, see, this could come up even beforehand. We know nothing about this other version. There's no title. He pitched his idea to Raimi and Robert Tapert and Campbell, who all liked it and said, go ahead, do it. No further details. So, that's on the way. But we know that a script exists for Evil Dead Burns. That's happening. That's going ahead. They've got a release in 2026. No month, but in the broad expanse of 12 months, 2026. It's a fucking long way off, that is. But let's hope the time to develop, film, produce, post-produce it, actually elicits what we want from an Evil Dead movie. So, are we going to get that in 2026? Is this one going to rush out beforehand, this other one? It could do. It could do. I don't think there's a problem with having, certainly initially in this new run, several Evil Dead movies coming out in quick succession. Just don't bombard us with them, but these two could come out fairly quickly. I know their plan is like one every 2 to 3 years. Well, if these two films get made, they're not going to sit on one for another 12 months and bring it out later on. They're not going to do that. They're going to bring them both out, I would think. And I think that would be the best way of doing it as well. Because us Deadite fans are going to be absolutely in, like pure Necronomicon Nirvana. Different stories told in different styles, but in this same universe. Fucking hell. Come on, I'm really hopeful about this because I love this franchise, and I hate using the word franchise, but it is a franchise, and there's so many different places for it to go and explore. Raimi's only hinted at the Necronomicon and what it can do and its powers and its histories and all that, and all the engravings and the writings and the incantations and the way it can be brought forth by just reciting these incantations and spells. And it could come through video, it could come through just speaking it out loud, it could come through an old vinyl or whatever it could do, or cassette tape. It can come via whatever means. So once the Deadites that are around you, well, all hell breaks loose and there's no rules anymore. Their gymnastics become spectacular. They can float in midair. Their ability to taunt and to mock becomes legendary. Dead by dawn, dead by dawn. We're gonna get you. Jesus Christ. It's your sister Cheryl. There's a trail, Ash. But the trees, they know. Don't you see, Ash? They're alive. Love that line. But Ash should have gone like, well, I've always known trees are alive because they're living plant life. They're trees. They live and grow. And then he started battering the fucking, oh, I see what you mean now. Yeah, they're fucking bastards. And they're rapists as well. The one thing that Raimi regrets doing about The Evil Dead was the rape scene. And yeah, that is a very wicked and mean-spirited trick to pull on an audience who's along for the ride and they'll accept any amount of, you know, offal and blood and guts and face ripping and mutilation and limb lopping. They'll do all that, but rape is a different kettle of fish. To be honest, it does stick out like a sore thumb. It does in that movie. It seems ridiculous when people are tearing their flesh apart and they're getting burnt and fucking ripped to shreds and all that, like hit with polystyrene planks of wood, repeatedly chainsaws are brought in. It does seem, we can accept all that, but that rape scene, no, that's out of order. But even Raimi himself said, like, I shouldn't have done that because it does leave a nasty taste in your mouth, and it does to a degree. But still love the first movie. It's fantastic. And to get more of these is, wow, bring it on. Evil Dead Rise was successful. I know there's some that don't like it, and I don't know why. I don't know, what did you expect? What did you think? You wanted Bruce Campbell. Bruce Campbell was there. You hear his voice on the incantation. It does do a bit. There's a maybe too many homages, but it builds to such a great chainsaw wielding, blood frenzy of a climax, as you would hope for. It gives you all that. I liked it a hell of a lot. So, Ash vs Evil Dead is its own entity. That is a different thing, because that is half-hour episodic comedy show with gore and offal. Be honest with yourselves. Lots of cameos in there. Lee Major's fucking wonderful, but it's not in the least bit scary. Whereas The Evil Dead is genuinely terrifying. The ultimate experience in grueling terror. You know, it definitely is. I've discussed it in the films that broke me. The films I think were genuine nightmares when they came out. And for me personally, they've retained that quality. So when I watch them even now, many decades later, they are still just as powerful. I can watch that film now after seeing it a gazillion times and all the offshoots and sequels and things it's influenced, and still watch it like I'm seeing it for the very first time and experience it with that visceral jolt which it had for that inaugural presentation. So it works. Evil Dead 2 doesn't have that. It works on a different level. And Army of Darkness really descends again. But they are three different movies within the same, its own genre, its own Necronomicon, H.P. Lovecraft inspired genre. Lovecraft was never that nasty, but it's definitely inspired by Lovecraft. But on the old gods, the old ones who are out there lurking at the threshold and all that, like forever trying to come back. Save my soul! No, I'm excited. Colour me all the shades of excited, because I love this particular subgenre. I love the Evil Dead movies, and Raimi, Tappert, Campbell are producing. They're going to be producing all of these, so they're going to be overseeing this. But the great thing about Raimi was a guy that, with family and friends, worked for 3 years in the mosquito-ridden hell to make The Evil Dead, a labour of love, and yet he created such great camera work. whatever. Look, we haven't got the money to do it, but we're going to find a way. We're going to find a way. We're going to improvise. We're going to adapt, because we've got this sheer determination, and we're young and we don't care. No one's told them, you can't do that. You can't film like that. You can't show that on screen. No one told them. We're going to do what we fucking want. And they did what they fucking wanted. And they found that we all fucking loved it. Except for the British Board of Film Classification, who took umbrage. The likes of Mary Whitehouse and a lot of the other fucking moral dictators in the States. Germany banned it, I think. I think France had trouble with it as well. Italy didn't give two shits. Bring it on! More! And then made their own versions. But yeah. There is a trademark with the Evil Dead movies, the Evil Dead stuff. And it is extreme bloodletting, really hyper intense, violent visuals, hyper kinetic camera work, virtuoso sound design, but a sadistic sense of humour. With Raimi, you've got a fantastical element which does like to be Chaplin-esque, bit of Laurel and Hardy, bit of slapstick. But with other people, that's not there. Fede Alvarez just, no, we're having no comedy in this. And it makes its own entity within this panoply. So I'm hoping Sebastian Vanacek and I forgot the guy's name again, Francis Gallup, Francis Giddy-Up. I hope they come up with distinctive individual movies which are what they want to make, put their hallmark on it. So if they make no more movies in the franchise, which they probably won't, let's be honest, then at least they've stamped their own identity within a much more ongoing and evolving anthology. There you go. I've thrown a lot of words into this, and but I'm excited. I love to be excited. Don't you? Isn't that the point of all of this? Oh, we get the news of and so often. Oh, they're remaking Neverending Story. They're remaking Highlander. They're doing that, and fucking hell! You stop remaking stuff. And yet sometimes it's a tried and trusted thing which you've known and loved since you grew up. And we're going to do a new one. But they're not remaking it. They're doing another entry in it with different. You don't want to see Ash be recreated by somebody else, because no one can do it. You can't have. That's why you really can't go the comedic route, the goofball doofus route that Ash Williams always had and invested into his Deadite adventures, misadventures. Because you're gonna, any new guy they bring in, or woman, let's face it, they could gender reverse it, they could, and make that the Ash type pratfalling heroic character. You're gonna forever compare it to Ash, and then they're gonna come up short. It doesn't matter who you use, they're not going to be able to do it, because no matter how good they may be, they're still not Ash. And the way that Bruce Campbell would smash plates on his head, smash his own teeth out on the sink, he doesn't do it for real. He did hurt himself though, and literally throw himself over and really go to town on the physicality, and still be incredibly funny, and yet your heart goes out to him. And then when he's possessed, he's evil as hell, and you still find him funny at the same time, because he's still like Evil Dead 2. The amount of time that the screen outside the back door of the cabin, and he fights with that, and the trellis is like, he's just chewing the scenery, literally chewing it. It's great. Even when he's a bad guy, he's still ridiculously funny and charismatic, but you're still afraid of him. Arnie! Oh, it's great. Nope, Evil Dead, massively love it. I did a watch party for Evil Dead 2. I should do one for the first Evil Dead, and I should do one for Army of Darkness. Maybe one day I will. Right folks, comment below and let me know what you think about this. The elongation of the Evil Dead. For me personally, it's not a bad idea, because there's so much more to explore, and it gives other directors, which is what Raimi wants, other fledgling directors, a chance to like really shine. In my universe, The Evil Dead, you can do whatever pyrotechnics and what a visual chutzpah you want to come up with. I'll stand behind you, because I want to see creativity, invention, innovation, and we might not have all the money in the world to give you, but I want to see what you can come up with, because that's what I did, and I want to see you do the same, but with your own personal stamp on it. Wow, I've got myself really uber excited now. I might go and watch an Evil Dead movie. I might. But behind me, our tea is in the oven, and I can smell, I don't know what it is actually, it got put in just before I started doing the video, and I wasn't present to that, and I think it's beef. I can smell beef, but I can smell other things. There's mushrooms, there's potatoes, there's, oh, I don't know, there's a big stew-like concoction coming up. Wow. Hi. So, Evil Dead Ben. Evil Ben's tonight. Oh, God, no. As I say, my inner jury is out on that title. But you had Evil Dead Rise, but I kind of got that. Visually, you got a rise out of the lake, and it's like they're rising again. You know, I kind of got that. Rise is a bit more of a generic sort of, you know, all-encompassing sort of word to use in a title. Ben is a bit more specific. So unless they're wielding flamethrowers and stuff, like, I don't know, you know, or there's napalm being used, it's going to be set in Antarctica. Outpost 32, perhaps? Outpost 31 is already burnt down anyway. But Evil Dead in an Antarctica. Ooh! Sebastian Vanacek, hope you're listening. Or the other guy, hope you're listening as well. Yeah, set in an Antarctic. It's a cabin in the ice. That's all it is. And you've got people that are going to be transformed and mutated and changed and possessed. And you've got to fight for your life. And you've got a flamethrower. It's barbecue on the ice floe. Right, folks, I have been Ocean Kiltman. Please, in the meantime, and as ever, I've just realised I'm wearing the Thing t-shirt. There's old Mr. McCready there. He didn't do any pratfalling, any sort of slapstick stuff. Oh, no. He was just single-minded. I don't trust any of you fuckers. I'll burn anyone in the blink of an eye. Right. Please comment below, let me know, and I'm going to see you all and whatever comes first, Laters or Dead by Dawn, I'll see you there at the juncture of life and the Evil Dead. We'll all be reading our own copy of the Necronomicon. Let's all recite together and see what hell we can bring forth. Because this world's infinite. It's infinite. Whatever you see in movies is not anything compared to the shitstorm that our people in power have created and got in store for us. And don't even get me started on the drones invading the US and Manchester as well. They're everywhere, folks. You invade Manchester, it's game over, folks. Game over.